All right, Sunday's lesson is titled Blind Guides. And the lesson asks us to read Matthew chapter 23. And the question is, what makes them blind guides? What makes a blind guide a blind guide? I'm going to read to you, starting in verse 13, and we'll skip a little bit, out of the remedy in Matthew 23. And as we do this, I want to encourage you. God is love, and Jesus came to reveal God's character perfectly. So I want you to think, if you were saying these words to the person you love the most in the world, the person you love the most in the world, your spouse, one of your children, is the person in the position of the Pharisees. That's what they think. That's how they view things. That's how they behave. Your child, your husband, your wife, how would you speak the words? What would be the tone that comes out as you do that, see? Because the tone is left out when we read the words. But I think that Christ's tone might be something different than the harshness that we sometimes hear with it. Misery. Misery is yours. You who teach legal religion, you penal theologians, you counterfeits. Your false teachings obstruct people from being healed and entering God's kingdom of love. You certainly are not healed and do not enter into salvation, but worse still, you actively work to prevent others who want to be saved from being healed. Misery is yours. You who teach legal religion, you penal theologians, you counterfeits. You con widows from their homes, yet you make public displays of praying long prayers. Unhealed, you choose to remain. Your suffering will be most severe. Misery is yours, you who teach a legal religion, you penal theologians, you counterfeits. You go around the world trying to convert one person, and when you do, you indoctrinate them so deeply into your false penal system that they become twice the child of lies and selfishness as you are. Skipping to verse 23. Misery is yours, you who teach a legal religion, you penal theologians, you counterfeits. You keep rules such as proudly paying a pre-tax tithe and even giving 1/10 of the herbs of your garden. But you fail to do what actually matters, to live in harmony with God's law, which is the design for life. You fail to do what is right because it is right. You are not merciful, but judgmental and critical, and cannot be trusted to protect those struggling with sin. You should have lived lives of love for others without neglecting the simple instructions of God. You are truly irrational and unthinking teachers. You are so focused on keeping the rules, such as dietary law, that you fail to understand their purpose is to promote health. You're so confused that you actually think it would be a virtue to die of starvation rather than eat something not on the approved list. Misery is yours, you who teach a legal religion, you penal theologians, you counterfeits. You work so hard to make yourselves look good on the outside, but inside, the heart is full of selfishness, arrogance, and greed. You truly don't understand anything about God's kingdom. The mind, the character, the heart, they all must be cleansed first, and then the outside will also be clean. Misery is yours, you who teach a legal religion, you penal theologians, you counterfeits. You are like highly polished burial vaults. They look beautiful on the outside, but inside are nothing but the bones of the dead and everything that defiles. You are just like that. On the outside, you appear to people as good and righteous, but on the inside, you are full of lies, selfishness, and evil. You are great counterfeits. Misery is yours, you who teach a legal religion, you penal theologians, you counterfeits. You go to great lengths to give praise and honor to God's spokespersons and church leaders of the past. You say, if we would have lived back then, we never would have rejected God's spokespersons or joined those who killed them. By such claims, you condemn yourself because you acknowledge such actions are wrong. Yet by your actions today, you reveal you are the true descendants of those who murdered God's spokespersons. You're just like them, and your sins pile on top of the sins of your forefathers. You slippery serpents, you brood of venomous vipers, you think you can cure yourselves with your own snake oil. It's because of your false remedy, your penal legal trickery, that I'm sending my spokespersons, instructors, and Bible scholars, some of whom you will attack, kill, and crucify. Others you will beat, some physically, some verbally, right in church, running them out of town with beatings and the most vicious gossip. The pure and holy lives that have been sacrificed through history, from Abel all the way through Zechariah, son of Berechiah, who was murdered right in church at the altar, testify the truth to you. But the sad truth is that this generation will reject all the evidence. Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you sick and hard-hearted people who have rejected the remedy, killed God's spokespersons, and stoned those sent to you with the cure. How my heart has longed to pull you to safety, like a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you would not let me. Look around. I leave your house to you abandoned without remedy and infected without cure. For I tell you plainly, when you see me next, you will say, he is the one sent by God to reveal God's true character and provide the remedy. Any thoughts? To what were they blind?
Their own condition.
They were blind to their own condition, for sure. Anything else?
They're blind to the character of God.
Yes, they're blind completely to the character of God. They don't understand his methods. They don't realize his law, his design protocol. They see him functioning like a Roman magistrate. They're completely blind to the problem. Their diagnosis is wrong. Their cure is wrong.
They're loveless.
And any examples of blind leading the blind today? I would suggest to you any theology based on imposed law which represents God as the following. You look for it, you see it, this is blind leading the blind. God as the source of inflicted punishment and suffering and death. If you have a theology presenting God as the source of that, there's the blind leading. Or God is the one who needs to be paid, appeased, or propitiated. God's the problem we got to fix. Or God is the one we need to be hidden from or protected from. This is blind leading the blind. Remember David prayed? Search me and see the wicked way in me. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Now, I've used the example before, but just think about going to the ER sick. You're really sick. You know something's really bad wrong. And as the doctor comes in to examine you, you quickly shove your healthy brother in front of you and say, examine him, and anything you find right about him, put it in my record. How does that help? That's a lot of theology. Examine Jesus and write what you find in Jesus in my record. Don't do anything in me now. Don't change my heart. Don't write the law in my heart and mind. Don't recreate me in the inner man. Don't give me a heart of flesh and take out the heart of stone. No. Don't change me. Just legally pardon me. God is our creator, redeemer, and friend. This is to be our prayer. Find every defect in me, Lord, and heal me. Fix what's broken. But this only happens when we come back to the truth about God. The dragon was wroth and enraged with the woman and went off to make war with the rest of her offspring, those who obey the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. And what are the commandments of God? Thank you. I give you a new command, Jesus' own words, that you love one another. This is the command. That's right. And the testimony of Jesus we talked about last week. All right, in Sunday's lesson, it points out that the Jewish nation was chosen by God to be a kingdom of priests and was prophesied to be a great nation with many blessings, etc., etc., etc. But that didn't happen. They were left abandoned. Why did these prophecies of the Old Testament not come true?
They were conditional.
On?
Their choices.
So is it possible that God at times does the following? Sends his spokespersons to lay out before people two paths. If you make this choice, this is what path you'll go down. You'll end up with these outcomes and these consequences. But if you make this choice, this is what will happen for you. Does he do that? And that's the Old Testament prophecy. He laid out before them two paths, and they're both there. It's your choice. Do we do that today without the advantage of foreknowledge? Do we do that? Do we say to the drug addict, if you continue to use drugs, you're going to have ongoing problems, broken relationships, brain damage, ruined health. But if you choose recovery, then healing, wellness, and salvation will be found. Do we lay that out before people? Yes, we do. We do this all the time. This is what God is doing. He may be more specific about things that we can't see, but we can predict some of this, can't we? How about today? Has something been laid out for the church today? Are there two paths before us today? Are we in the position of the Jews 2,000 years ago today? They were Adventists, waiting for the advent of the Messiah, Sabbath keepers, health message, sanctuary believers. Are we today in a position they were in 2,000 years ago? Are there two paths laid out before us? I'll leave that with you because I want to jump into Tuesday's lesson.